Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for September 27th. I'm your host, Aaron Armstrong, and with me today, Scally. How you doing, Scally?
I am good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about hey, if the season's going to play out like it is, at least I get to express those feelings out here. So,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
vent a little.
Weird to be doing an update on September 27th for me, but as we head into October, we'll deal with it. But here we are, and we are going to be talking about everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 22 live feeds. It was day 53 in the house, and not a huge day here. Not a huge day.
No, not especially a day where we're getting results of a competition. Thought, maybe something happens, and not so much. Definitely more of the same coming out here.
Yeah, if if that's any indication of what the results of the competition were. Not a big day, guys. All right. Well, we started the day. Obviously, Cody is the HOH. He put David and Kevin on the block. The result that a lot of people are looking for is that Kevin wins the veto so that Christmas goes on the block as a potential target. Tyler, Enzo, and Nicole are chosen to play in the veto. So you've got Enzo and Tyler, two previous OTEV winners, competing. You've got Cody, who's just like Cody. And then you've got Nicole, who's competed, I believe, in two previous OTEVs, but she's lost both of them. And then you've got David and Kevin, who I think are both perfectly capable of winning an OTEV. OTEV is a little bit, like, people who are athletic tend to have an advantage in OTEV, but it doesn't mean that they will always win, as we saw, Rockstar almost beat Tyler, a couple of seasons ago. So it's not impossible for someone to come in and take out these big athletic dogs.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely possible, especially when I don't think it was the worst veto draw, considering I don't think Tyler and Enzo had like a huge amount of motivation to be winning here. And Nicole obviously has been struggling to win a competition all season. So definitely seemed at least decent for the people that were hoping for Kevin or David to be winning.
Yeah. So prior to the competition, Memphis did go and talk to Enzo because he was like, Enzo, you need to try and win this competition. No taking prizes, because Cody might put Christmas on the block if you don't win, if Kevin or David wins. And if that happens, then Dani and Nicole might try and send him home, or send her home, which would mean that it would be Dani, Nicole, and Kevin or David tying up the vote. It would just one more vote, and we'd have to show our cards. Cody would have to break the tie to save Christmas. It wouldn't be good for us. And so you've got to make sure that we don't lose the veto to Kevin or David. And so it's like, yeah, yo, yeah, we got this, yo. I totally want Christmas to stay, yo. That's it.
Yeah, it's like, this is exactly what I wanted. So, yeah, it's funny for Enzo to be having a conversation where people are, attributing things that really he wants the most, probably, and actually, telling him that we can't let this happen when he's the one actively trying to make it happen.
Yeah, it did finally tip Enzo off, as he's gonna talk to Cody about, like, ooh, this is gonna be tricky for us if we want to take Christmas out. Like, I might have to blame my vote on Tyler. Like, we might have to do some tricky stuff to make this Christmas thing happen. But we don't need to get too deep into it, because spoilers, it's not gonna happen. Christmas does talk to Tyler. She asks him where he is in the game. And he says basically where he is that Dani and Nicole have to go. That he sees that Cody is in a very powerful position, and he feels like cutting Dani and Nicole off from him will help weaken him and help them move forward together. Him and Christmas, obviously, Tyler's a couple of weeks behind in this regard. Cody has already set himself up without the help of Dani and Nicole, but that's still where he's at, and she agrees. That's where she's at as well.
Yeah, it's frustrating to see Tyler, who is super capable and has proven to be a little bit behind where he needs to be at this point with targeting Dani and Nicole. Like, sure, those are numbers for like the theoretical other side of this alliance, but probably not the numbers that he actually has in his way of winning the game. I know that he has better relationships with Cody or an Enzo and everything, but they're much more well insulated. Whereas, like, Dani and Nicole are going to be easier to beat, whether it be in a vote or in competitions, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a little, disconcerting to see that.
Yes, we'll see. Again, things are about to shake up a bit, although, I have to unfortunately keep mentioning that it will probably be pretty quick and painless for this group because of the triple. But we could potentially see some things shake up post-triple. We'll just have to wait and see. Christmas talks to Tyler. Memphis talks to Tyler as well. Memphis tells Tyler also that you need to win this veto, Tyler. You can't. Don't make Cody give a replacement nomination. No, don't make that happen. Sounds okay. I'm gonna compete. Don't worry. They compete in the veto, and Cody wins the power veto. Jason and I predicted Cody would win last night, and we were correct. That Cody has won the veto, and apparently in this competition, David went for their prizes. That's the twist of the week. There are prizes in this competition. I'm assuming that it had something to do with, like, you can go for the pieces to continue the competition, or you can go for a prize somewhere else. And in the first round, David, who is on the block, went for a prize, $10,000, and he got it in front of everyone. And I love this.
Yeah, big fan. Because, okay, I spent 5.5 hours of the feeds being down. Just, don't let my hopes get up. Okay, maybe they're getting up a little bit. Maybe I'm excited. Maybe there was fallout, and that's why it's down for so long. But no, Cody wins the veto. But to find out that David got $10,000, especially in the first round, is very funny to me. So at least there was an enjoyable part of this episode.
Everyone else was so pissed.
Real,
like, what are you pissed about?
Yeah,
he didn't win. That's better for your games.
They will find anything to be, as Kevin would say, big mad about. They are just not going to be happy no matter the outcome. And it is so funny to watch, like, these people spin out because one of the nominees went out first in the competition.
Yeah, look, the end result, like, the game is to win money.
Mm-hmm.
10K is not bad. Like,
No.
especially for David, who is going to have a hard time winning in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
He's up to like 53 with the 40K plus jury stipend. Now he's at 63. There you go. He's making more money than most of you.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is if you were to, like, look, does David have like a 1 in 50 shot of winning this? No, like, it's not. Unfortunately, don't think he can even count on a 1 in 50 shot. So that $10,000 pops up, and it's the right move. Let's go for it.
Yes. I mean, again, if I'm looking at this strictly in a game sense, it is probably not the best move in a game sense. Although I really don't think it's that bad. I think that, I mean, David has been assured that he's safe this week. You can't ever really trust that, but he is. And so losing this veto doesn't matter that much in that sense. It just makes people not respect him as much in the game, but... Like David's not winning off of Christmas's vote, so
exactly.
I don't know. It's I don't think it's like it's It's not the move that I would probably make in the game, because I would be caring about like the win, and I would be holding on to any percentage that I have. But like, if I'm comparing like this move to like Kevin arguing with Cody, like I'll take 10K as consolation for a slightly bad move over like I stood up for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially like knowing what we know, that this triple eviction is coming on Thursday, it is, likely that one and or both of them walk out the door anyway. So at a certain point, it's like, it's not happening. So go out having fun, go out getting $10,000. For David, if anything, it should, don't think it's going to necessarily with this alliance, make him more of a likely GOAT to get that $50,000 at the end rather than no money by going out earlier. But it doesn't seem like the alliance is necessarily thinking like that.
Yeah. And I do feel like, if he does somehow make it to the end, that one of his arguments is going to be that he played up the new player status, that he consistently did things like this on purpose. And I think there's a narrative that you can spin to make this look kind of like baller. I don't know if David will be able to like communicate it well enough in the short time he'll have in the final two. But like I don't know that one veto, like I think the biggest loss for David is that if he wins this veto, that's one more win on his resume, and he really needs some wins, not only if he makes it to the end, but also just to give himself more currency in the game. But now he has more currency in life, so.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if he wins the veto, people will maintain, oh my God, he won a competition. We really got to get him out. Versus now it's, oh, he got $10,000. We really got to get him out because he got $10,000. So it's like, either way, David's target was going to increase. Everyone was going to talk about it. So like, I hope that he recognizes that this supports his argument in the end. But like you said, whether it's due to the speed in which he needs to get that argument out, or also recognizing that he needs to use this, I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen.
So Cody and Christmas talk about David. They also talk about Dani after the veto and how Dani will be pushing for David to go, and that's annoying. Christmas tells Cody that 4 people have told her Dani has been dropping her name. Cody is later going to be like, who are those 4 people? Like,
yeah.
4 people?
It's a lot. And I was like, oh, I feel like this may be a little exaggerated, but I don't know. Maybe if you want to say Kevin and Dave, who knows what's going on that we haven't seen, but yeah, 4 people seems like a lot.
Kevin, David, Nicole, Enzo. I think those are the 4.
It's reasonable. It could happen. All 4 of those people have been, willing to be a little loose-lipped at times, especially about Dani. So I don't think that it's unreasonable, but 4 still does seem high with this few people left.
Yeah. So Tyler's going to talk with Enzo. Enzo is mad that David went for the money because Enzo wanted to go for the money, which is like, let's be real. That's why Enzo was mad at the very least. That like Enzo was hoping that David would go for, like he literally says, like I was hoping that we would last longer than the 2 nominees and then go for the money. And he goes for the money in the first round. This guy. We might have to take David out this week, yo, because of this, yo. That's it. And Tyler's like, no. I think that Cody wants Kevin to go, so Kevin should probably go. Tyler, I should mention, is not mad at David about taking the money. He is one of the few that just doesn't care at all, and still very firmly wants David to stay. Tyler does say that, look, it worked out for the best that you didn't win because Enzo came in second place to Cody's first place. Enzo was very upset. He lost. He didn't defend his OTEV title. But Tyler's like, hey, don't worry about it. The winner of OTEV has never gone on to win the season. It's called the OTEV curse. Don't tell Cody, because Cody won and now he's not going to win the season. And Enzo's like, oh yeah, yo, that's it. Of course, Enzo goes straight to Cody and he's like, bro, there's an OTEV curse. That's why I didn't want to win, yo. That's it.
Yeah, see, I am because I had almost forgotten about this. People start talking about it, and I'm like, ooh, like one silver lining here, maybe. Not like that Cody would be the worst option of winning, but I'll take what I can get at this point in terms of rooting against the big alliance as a whole rather than just marching to an inevitable Cody win necessarily. But I'm not going to expect anything out of this season, so this would probably be the one time that it does break when some people don't want it to. But for it to make Cody angry, at least for now, is a funny, experience.
Yeah, well, Memphis talks to Dani and Christmas, and they are also going to complain about David going for the money. Dani says he's got to go, and Memphis agrees. He should go. They should vote David out this week. Dani's like, I wonder if Cody told David he's a pawn. I wonder if that's why he felt comfortable going for the money. And Christmas is like, yeah, but guys, it's Cody's call. It's Cody's call which of David or Kevin go. And we know that Cody wants Kevin to go. So, let's be chill. And Dani's like, no. It's not Cody's call. It's our call. Cody doesn't have a vote. We do. So we're sending David home, right, Memphis? And Memphis is like, yeah.
It makes sense for Dani to play this up. She's been a little bit predictable, as everyone called even before the veto results. Dani is going to be targeting David to go out this week. Memphis is always going to be mad at David no matter what he does, so that's really not surprising. Can't wait for Christmas to go up as the target and say that everyone should vote her out because that's the HOH's wishes in a week or two. So all three of them, it's like none of this is surprising, but it's not going to end up, super great for any of them.
Yeah. Christmas talks to Memphis afterward, and she's like, David can't go. That's exactly what Dani wants, because David's going after Dani. And Dani has Kevin. Memphis is like, he's such an idiot, though. I've been trying not to call him an idiot for a week. Just a week. I'm sorry, America. I can't do it. I know you hate me, but he's such an idiot. And she's like, yes, he's an idiot, but he has to stay this week.
One whole week. It's been very difficult for Memphis, obviously. 3-4 days is a long time in the Big Brother house, but I don't know. These two, it's just, you can't let Dani get what she wants, obviously, at this point for these people. No one's going to allow that. Would have been nice for Dani to realize maybe a little earlier she shouldn't be taking out people who weren't going to target her rather than doing it, in these stages of the game. But she's kind of, up against a wall. People know exactly, see it transparently, and she's let too many people go that actually may have not targeted her at this point.
Yeah. Cody talks to David. He's just like, bro, why did you go for the 10K right away, man? And David says, well, because I'm donating it to Black Lives Matter causes. And Cody's like, oh, that's amazing. You need to tell people that because they are pissed. They are taking it a certain kind of way, a certain type of way. And it makes it look like I told you were safe. So please, don't go out and tell people immediately, but you need to start telling people that because it looks bad, man. But believe me, I want Kevin gone. I want you to stay. Just watch out for Dani because she is already planting the seeds that you went for that money, and that meant that you felt super safe, and that's why you should go home. So just watch out for that. Make sure you tell people why you went for it, and we can get through this.
Yeah, I do love this from David. Obviously, outside world stuff, and then also, should have been the first thing out of his mouth, probably right after the veto, even after exiting first, and just like, guys, this is why. But it's great. David has said that any extra money he can get, whether that be America's favorite player or during a competition, he's going to be donating. So definitely encouraging there.
Mm-hmm. This is David. David has already said that if he won America's favorite player, and not that he was being presumptuous, that if he somehow won America's Favorite Player, that he would be donating the money that to those causes. So not surprising to hear that he would do the same for this money in the veto competition. I think that David, I really feel like continues to he's really trying hard to be a good example. I think for people on the outside, despite the occasional game slip up, I'm pretty impressed with David overall.
Yeah, I'm enjoying him. I know people were frustrated with him, especially in week 2, 3, 4. But I've enjoyed David. I definitely am at this point. I'm rooting for David, but it's gonna be an uphill battle. But I'm gonna enjoy watching him for as long as he has left in the house.
So Cody talks with Christmas in Memphis, and they all agree they are keeping David. Memphis agrees. Basically, all you need to do. Dani for a long time in this game has felt like she's the mastermind, that she's controlling the game. She constantly talks like she's going to be able to flip votes whichever way she desires. And we keep saying like, oh, Dani, she thinks too highly of herself. But I think we've been looking at this in the wrong way. Dani actually is the most influential person in the house, because everything she wants, the opposite happens. And people use what Dani wants as an argument for why you should do the other thing. The way that you convince Memphis to keep David is you say, Dani really wants David to stay. Dani really wants Kevin to stay. That you need to keep David because of that. And Memphis is like, you're right. That's what Dani wants. We can't do what Dani wants.
Yeah, Dani's opinion has the biggest impact in the house. Just because it's not a positive correlation does not mean that it's not making a difference. Unfortunately for her, I don't think it's helping her very much, but definitely is, not going unnoticed what Dani wants in that house.
So Dani's gonna talk with Nicole, during this conversation and downstairs, and she's like, "I'm not voting Kevin out. Not gonna happen. I'm gonna make this work. We're gonna keep Kevin." Nicole's like, "But don't you think we should keep David?" Dani's like, "No, Kevin is not gonna come after us. David would." Nicole's like, "Okay."
Yeah. Like we said, would have been nice to see this energy from Dani earlier in the season, but it's just like, how many times does the ball have to get pulled away from you before you realize that, like, you're not going to kick it, Dani. You're not going to get this, like, your way on this vote.
Well, the problem is that she did have this energy. She just directed it toward potential allies.
That's very fair. Yeah. Dani. Dani.
It cannot be overstated, like, how big a mistake it was for Dani to sabotage Janelle's game on purpose. She had the option to help reel Janelle in, who trusted Dani, and she just went for her. There were so many other people in the house she could have gone after. We've talked that to death, I know. Dani tells Nicole, she says, Cody has to let me do this, because last week he told me that I could have David if he could have Day. So he has to let me. It's only fair.
Yeah,
we agreed.
Exactly. That is how people play the game. Definitely, I'll give you one, you give me one. But when it's happened over and over and over, and Dani's still not realizing that that's the case, not so great. They wouldn't even let her, give Davon a vote. She felt the need to lie about that. So, like, what makes you think that you're going to be deciding how this week goes solely?
Yeah, I think Cody's response would be, "Hey, I don't have a vote, right? It's not my call."
Exactly. So that's the same argument Dani was using on Christmas of why Cody does not make the decision. It's like, hey, my hands are clean. you guys figure it out.
Yeah. So Cody, Tyler, and Enzo are upstairs with like Memphis and Christmas, and Enzo walks in. He's like, "Yo, I didn't want to win because of the curse, yo. That's it." And Cody says, "Oh, Tyler, did you hear about this? That there's an Otev curse, and Tyler's like, yeah, I was the one that told Enzo, and Cody's like, Enzo, you told it to me like you were the one that came up with it, and Tyler's like, I told him, and I told him not to tell you.
Oh, Enzo. Yeah, speaking, like we said of earlier, Enzo will be a little loose-lipped occasionally, but I like that, it's coming out in funny ways and it doesn't seem to be actively damaging his game quite yet.
I mean, honestly, like, this is a moment to me that would be an indicator as to where the lines of communication are. Because Tyler did, I mean, it was kind of jokingly, but Tyler did say, don't tell Cody. And Enzo clearly went and told Cody. Not only went and told Cody, but acted like it was his idea, that it was his piece of information to tell, and I think that should be telling to both Cody and Tyler a little bit as to like how Enzo plays this game, because that is how Enzo plays this game.
Yeah, it definitely is an indicator. I don't think, at least that we've seen so far, it's made any like major impact, but both players in Tyler and Cody would think at least should be capable of picking up that fact. I'm just curious to see if they recognize exactly what that means for their games more beyond like this little joke.
So Nicole is going to talk with Cody a little bit later. She gives him the heads up that Dani is being very adamant about this David thing, and she says that Dani told Memphis and Christmas that, hey, Cody doesn't have a vote. He's like, are you serious? What is she doing?
Yeah, not great. Anything Dani says is going to get leaked back, so it's a little unfortunate there, but it's just like one more thing to bury Dani, one more thing to bury Dani, one more thing, and Dani's not doing herself any favors right now.
Nicole says she is worried, though, about David coming after her. That's what Dani is saying, and Cody says, ooh, no, she's wrong. David, and this stays between us, David's going for Memphis and Dani. But Memphis would be the secondary target there. And she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, great. That's fine if David's going for Memphis. The problem is and Dani will also be on the block. And so...
Well, Nicole doesn't care about that.
Yeah, I know that she does not care. That's true. Nicole was always worried about being the other nominee. So as soon as she finds out she's not going to be there, it's like, all right, whatever, I don't care. But the problem for Dani being that it doesn't matter if you're the target, you're still ending up on the block and probably going home in that scenario.
Yeah, it's not an argument for Dani, that's for sure. The problem is that there's nobody like Dani is the perfect person to say you're targeting in this house because nobody will care as long as they're not going to end up on the block next to Dani, and even if they are, they feel pretty comfortable.
Exactly. You should want to be Dani's pawn over anyone else's at this point.
Yeah. Christmas talks to David, and she talks to him about going after the money, and she's like, why would you do that, David? Why would you go for the money and not compete? And Christmas is the one. Christmas has been, so the people that are the most angry, I'd say Christmas is number one. Enzo is number two because he wanted that money. Memphis is number three. Dani is number four just because she's using it to try and get David out.
Play it up.
Then Cody would be number five, but he pretty quickly was like, oh, you're doing it for a cause that's great. He was just mad that his plan got out. It looks bad on him because it makes it look like he told David he was a pawn. And then I don't think anyone else was really mad.
No.
Nicole didn't mind. Tyler didn't care. I don't think Kevin cared that much. David didn't care, and that's it.
Kevin should be thrilled that the other nominee is not actively trying to win. Nicole was too busy being mad about not being able to win a competition despite going to the end of the game with people she can't beat in competitions. And Christmas was just like, how dare, I'm not allowed to compete at all, not one veto the entire season, and now he could have picked me to play with house guest choice, chooses not to, and now he goes for the money. Like, she's so furious, and it's you know what, if it makes Christmas mad, another bonus.
She's the most mad, and she had the most to benefit from this.
Exactly.
Because she was the one that was going to end up on the block. But she's mad because the things she keeps saying is that she really does not respect that. That how dare he not compete? Christmas is a competitor. She's a CrossFitter. And David is supposed to be a CrossFitter. But he didn't compete to his fullest. He says, he's like, well, look, I looked up, I saw the money, and I saw a luck-based competition that I've got a 1 in 6 chance of winning. Even if I win this, I'm going to be on the block next week. Let's be real. I went for the money. I just wanted to take the money in that moment. That's just where I wanted to go. And Christmas is just like, no. No. You're a CrossFitter. I'm a CrossFitter. Don't you know about that one time that there was a guy competing in CrossFit and it looked like he was going to lose and then he did not lose? That is what CrossFit is about, David. You don't quit.
Christmas. She is, for someone who has seen maybe one season of Big Brother, talks about the integrity of the game quite a bit.
She's watched many seasons now, to be
okay,
fair.
at this point,
yes.
fine. But she is, number one in this season of integrity, and it is, a little painful.
Yeah. It's just like you at some point you have to consider if that guy competing in CrossFit, right? If he was paid $10,000 to stop with the competing, that was probably more prize money than first place at that. Like.
Exactly.
You're not losing if you get $10,000.
Yeah, and that is one thing. Christmas, she's talked about how I think she said yesterday, I just can't think next round. My brain doesn't work that way, and it's like she's not seeing the bigger picture. She is immediately like, this competition is all I can focus on, and it's manifesting in being mad at David here too.
Yeah. So, hey, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to quit podcasting about the season because somebody's gonna pay me $10,000 to do it. I'm such a quitter.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right.
Good.
So David talks to Tyler late into the night, and says that he says, "Man, people are really showing their true colors about me taking this money." And Tyler's like, "Definitely, man. Like, you don't need to explain yourself to anyone. F them. You do you, man."
Yeah, like we said, Tyler is, more level-headed than a number of people in the house, recognizes, actually what this is about, and he's going to be cool with David. Obviously, he has the added motivation of wanting, David and Christmas are his two pieces right now, so also, even if he wasn't angry, it wouldn't do him any good to show it, so definitely makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically the day here. Tyler, I'm curious to see if David is actually going to drift back over to Tyler, as the quote unquote true colors show of the rest of the house. David has definitely held on to Tyler screwing over Bailey, and he hasn't wanted to work with Tyler because of it. But I'm wondering that if at this point in the game, David is looking around at the people left and thinking, maybe Tyler's not that bad.
Yep. Yeah, for many, many reasons, but it's even who else is David going to team up with? Like, you can be annoyed about like a past game move someone made, and like that's totally valid. But at a certain point, it's like you don't have any other options, and that's what's happened. Like, why Davon ended up working with Nicole and Dani, because like who else was she supposed to? So, who else is David supposed to work with at this point besides Tyler?
Yeah, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I do feel like it's his only move because Tyler is the person who is basically the least connected within the committee at this point. He has loose connections to Cody and Enzo, and a now somewhat strained connection to Christmas. He's the person who needs people the most, and that's how you operate. When the group splits up, you join the weakest side, and right now that is Tyler, and if joining Tyler means that that David is able to take a shot at Cody or something like that, that would be ideal. Of course, right now he's kind of focused on Dani because Dani's trying to get him out. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, very interested to see it all play out on Thursday. Wondering if there'll be enough time for it to turn around. But if people are convinced Dani needs to go, that's not so bad for Tyler either. So
Yeah.
if Cody wants to give up one of his own pieces, like that's fine. So I think whether Tyler, David, whoever else wins, Dani going is a fine option for them.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you wanted to bring up, Scally?
No, that is all. That's it.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you for the day. Again, not a huge day here.
No.
It would have been a much bigger day if Kevin had won the veto or David
Still
won
sad.
the veto. But
Yeah.
what can you do? What can you do? I really thought the prizes would make it more likely that the nominees would win.
You would think. But no, didn't see one of the nominees going for the prizes. But hey, my winner pick was Kevin, so it's been a frustrating season, I would say. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we have for you. It's looking like it'll be a pretty straightforward week. Maybe Dani will finally crack this week as she continues to push for David to go. But I think that, she'll probably just be like, okay, fine, I'll get David out later. I think based on what she was saying last night, that David would be her target in the triple, which means that David is in a little bit of danger there. It's kind of a break for Christmas, but it's looking like everybody else will be targeting Dani, except for Nicole, who's targeting Memphis.
Hey, that second eviction, let's say the third eviction, will be very fun for on Thursday. So see how that goes is what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, and of course I'll have more detailed sort of analysis on where this triple could go toward the end of the week. But that's what we have for you today. We will be back later tonight for the episode recap of the HOH and nomination episode, and I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 22 live feeds. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. If you want to hang out, chat with me, watch some feeds at some point. You can also find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. Scally, where can people find you?
I am on Twitter at Brian_Scally, and then also have been covering Love Island all season. It has been quite the season, especially after the first. We weren't expecting it to be so good, but been off the wall, insane. Coming up on the finale, I believe this coming Wednesday. So if people have not checked that out, it's absolutely wild. Highly recommend. Great on a binge. And so yeah, the podcast. I think we'll have a Monday and a Wednesday coming up.
There you go. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'll see you next time.